Over the past 6 months, I've reread 30 of the best-selling books on personal finance, money, and investing, because I wanted to see what it takes to be the best investor I can possibly be. I've looked at how to make money in the stock market, in crypto, and in technology in general. And I wanted to make sure I'm making the most of what I actually earn. Now, because of the advancement of technology with things like AI and blockchain technology, the next few years are critical. And one of the ways we can protect ourselves is by learning to invest and then invest in the future. Financial literacy is so important. And I honestly feel that if you become financially literate, your finances improve massively. What I promise you is that I'm going to make every attempt with this video to help you out and improve your financial education and help you to build wealth. I've read everything from very basic books to more advanced investing, covering topics like personal finance and stock market basics, money management, history of money, psychology, technical analysis, how to invest in index funds, and much more. I thought that if I read all of these books, I'd be able to make more money with my investments. And you never know, I might just become as good as Paul Tudor Jones, Cathie Wood, or even Warren Buffett, and then just retire in a few years, living happily ever after. But to be honest, I think you're going to be really surprised with what I'm going to say, as what I've learned is far from what I expected when I first started rereading these books. To be honest, I've completely changed my mind about quite a few things. So let's just start with some of the most famous books. I've read these books with a beginner's mindset because that's how I approach everything I want to learn. And I wanted to see what kind of journey you go on as someone who's new to investing and just trying to learn about money. So we're going to start with Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, a book I first read 5 years ago, but I've come back to over the last 6 months. 2019 was a time when I was in need of financial literacy, and this book didn't disappoint. It sold around 40 million copies worldwide. It's a simple story about two different dads, as he puts it, showing how wealthy people act in best ways to actually get rich and then stay rich. It might seem basic, but the vast majority of us don't get told the key principles with regards to money or investing when we're young, unless you're really lucky. So basic lessons like explaining the difference between assets and liabilities, why some people waste all of the time looking rich by buying fancy cars and getting huge mortgages and big houses, but actually end up pretty poor. On the other hand, those who are actually wealthy spend the money on assets and things that actually produce income, cash flows, and increase in value over time. All of the concepts sound really basic, but they are important to understand. I like the book and I think you will get a lot out of it, and it will add to your financial knowledge. The next book is a classic and is another popular read. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill is a book, again, I first read in 2019 when I was getting into personal development, much needed personal development. It helped me as I worked towards financial literacy, but more importantly, it helped me with my mindset as it got me through a difficult period at work. I was working in Tunisia in terrible conditions. The food was horrible as I survived on tins of dry tuna, peanut butter and dry cereal, and I love my food. This doesn't scratch the surface. Let's just say it was hard. But reading this book helped me. It helped me to remain positive in difficult circumstances. It's a great book for beginners because it presents straightforward, practical principles for achieving success. The book emphasizes the power of mindset, goal setting, and persistence, making it accessible to anyone new to personal development. Hill breaks down success into simple steps, such as having a clear vision, developing a positive mental attitude, and taking consistent action. Additionally, it includes inspiring stories of successful individuals, making it both motivational and easy to understand for those starting the journey towards personal growth and financial success. After reading it again, I've found even more valuable information, a book I highly recommend. By the way, nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice, and I want to get serious for a minute. If you aren't willing to put the work in, like reading some of these books, you won't be financially literate, and you are likely to make poor financial decisions. like me before 2019. If you want to know all of my investment mistakes in detail so you can avoid them, see below. And there is a link so you can join my school community where you get access to free investing courses and you can get around other like-minded investors. Let me share with you some other books that are all going to be worth a read and are really good at getting those foundations right, because I definitely don't think you need to be jumping straight into advanced investing, not at the start anywhere, as it can get very, very confusing. This next one is an important one for me, The Psychology of Money. This is a brilliant book, and it's no surprise it's been on the #1 spot for so long on the Amazon bestseller list. One of the things you need to know and understand is how important it is to have the right mindset when it comes to investing. And trust me, it's easier said than done. But this book goes into all the ways that you need to think about money, getting rich, and then most importantly, keeping that money. There's loads of really important lessons in this book. It's easy to read, which always helps, and there's no technical jargon about the finance industry. One of my favorite quotes from this book is that controlling your time is the highest dividend money pays. And also, you need a lot of time to make things actually happen. Now, the author talks a lot about Warren Buffett in this book, which we all do, but he reminds us that his success and really high net worth came through compounding returns and time, lots of it. Now, patience and controlling your own actions and emotions are some of the most underappreciated skills, in my opinion. And even after all of the books I've read on the stock market, how to pick winning stocks and invest in general, how some of the best investors have got wealthy, I'm now more convinced that your own behaviors are so much more important than, say, spending more hours looking at company financial statements. There's some great stories in this book. For example, it talks about a regular guy in the US who builds up a massive investment pot, and it's only actually found out when he passes away, when he dies. And he didn't do a fancy job. He worked as a gas station attendant and then as a janitor. He invested small amounts of money and reinvested dividends into safe companies over many, many decades. Now, none of his family knew what he actually did until after he passed away, when he had $8 million, which is a huge amount. He ended up donating this money to a local hospital and a library, as well as the rest of his family. This is a brilliant story and a reminder about what's actually possible. I think this ties back to a lot of the basics from Rich Dad Poor Dad, that a big part of money and investing is just saving as much as you can, resisting spending money all at once, and having the discipline to say, I'm not going to buy this thing or that thing today. Instead, I'm going to have a better thing in the future, and I'm going to buy my own freedom, financial freedom, through investing. And looking after your own money is really simple in theory, but you do have to get over the edge to impress other people with all your nice shiny things. And there's plenty of shiny things to buy, let's be honest. This reminds me of an important lesson from A Simple Path to Wealth, where the main takeaway is spend less than you make or earn and invest the rest. It sounds easy, but you've just got to do it over many, many years to actually get anywhere financially. There's so many people who want a shortcut to all of this and to get rich quick. I tried it for many years before 2019, but the more you look into it, the more you realize it's a marathon, not a sprint. And having the basics right, under control, cannot be stressed enough. A UK book worth reading is called Money: A User's Guide. And this is a small book you can read in just a few nights, if you take your time with it. It's packed with really good info, and it's written from the perspective of someone who's been through the same journey as most of us, where we weren't taught about money and investing at school or by our parents. We get released into the big bad world and we're expected to just find our way financially. So nice and easy to read, and highly recommend it. Another book I highly recommend is The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by John Bogle. This book explains to the reader why index investing is so important, and is a book that first nudged me towards index investing and doing it through Vanguard. Now, the majority of the books I've read over the last 6 months are more focused on investing in the stock market. But if you are interested in crypto, see below for a video that will help you to invest safely over the next 12 months. So how do we get rich? We've covered the basics. So what are the lessons from the best investors? This is where things get interesting, but I have to stress that you have to start with the basics. Benjamin Graham's Intelligent Investor is a must, but it is a bit dry and it's pretty old. So you're not really going to get the most up-to-date information or examples, but the principles are really important. And ultimately, if you're a student of Warren Buffett, then you're a student of Benjamin Graham, as he really is considered the father of value investing. Legendary investor Peter Lynch's book, One Up on Wall Street, is another really good read, and he's one of the best investors of all time. There's loads of valuable lessons in this book. As I said at the start, I've read books on loads of topics ranging from psychology to market indicators. But if you want to learn advanced investing, if you want to learn how to pick individual stocks, for example, you need to read William O'Neill's How to Make Money in Stocks. O'Neill has been investing since 1958 and has serious credibility. He's an entrepreneur, investor, and he's founded the Investors Business Magazine and Investors.com. This has really helped me to understand investing, mainly from a psychological point of view. This is an absolute must read. Now, before reading these kinds of books, I was expecting there to be more of a concrete formula to invest, to make money. You know, you do this or you do that, and then boom, you just sit back and you make money. But virtually all the best investors in the world are effectively outliers. They don't go with the crowd. They operate in an area where they have an advantage or an edge, and they find opportunities where there's less competition. And they don't just YOLO into the single hot stock that everyone already seems to know about. From what I've read, it takes hard work and obsession to become a top investor. And it's not easy, but that's the same for anything in life. To use a sporting analogy, David Beckham would not have been successful at football without thousands of extra hours of training, without hard work, without obsession. If you want success, you have to work really, really hard for a long time when it comes to investing or building a business. When it comes to investing, good things will come to those that wait. As much as I feel much more comfortable looking at financial statements and some of the numbers behind a company, even the best investors still get it wrong a lot of the time, and so much is outside of our control. Investing is an art, not a science, but you can tilt the brush in your favour by stopping yourself interfering too much and taking your emotions out of it as much as possible. It's easier said than done, trust me. For me, you read investing books and you take a little bit away with you each read. You learn from the best, and I honestly believe you can be the best at anything if you work hard enough. Now, this is all useful information. You know you need to put the work in, and you know you need to do it for a long, long time. But how do you actually get rich from investing? Well, if you see below, I'll demonstrate step by step how to become a millionaire with index investing. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching.